Hello everyone. We're back with some more Lo-Fi yoga where we take deep breaths and find a little more each time. So before we really dive into the practice, let's go ahead and take a deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 3, 2, 1. And breathe out. 2, 3, 4. So today's practice is going to be about calling forth the strength that lives within us all. It's not something we necessarily need to be looking for because it's always there. And even if it seems like your cup is getting empty, I think you might surprise yourself by finding out that there's a little bit more there than you thought. So let's start out sitting on our heels or on a block for a few breaths just to arrive, center, focus our minds on a practice. Take a moment to let go of the day before and what is to come. Just focus on where you are on the mat. Now we're going to go ahead and nod our heads slowly, up, down. Take your time, and then slowly change to side. Take as much time as you need to for these movements. And when you're ready, let that motion turn into slow circles and take it in both directions. Listen to your body, give it what it needs, take as long as you need to for each motion. When you're ready, go ahead and place your hands onto your knees and round your back into a cat shape. And as you exhale, bring your hands slowly towards your body and flex into that cow shape. Repeat, following the breath for as long as you need. The next time you find yourself going into a cat shape, go ahead and extend your arms forward. And as you exhale and release that breath, make sure you bend your elbows into a cactus shape, bringing the shoulder blades together. Go ahead and repeat that for a few breaths. The next time that your arms are forward, go ahead and rise up onto your knees into the thunderbolt shape, arms overhead. Stretch up nice and tall and long. And then you're going to grab your left wrist with your right hand and then lean to the right. Hold for a round of breath, and then go ahead and switch to the other side, grabbing the right wrist with the left hand and stretching to the left. Once you come back to center, go ahead and lower your arms out in front of you at shoulder height, and then lean right back. Keep your body in as straight a line as you possibly can, and hold that for a full round of breath. The next time you inhale, rise up, and on your next inhale, go ahead and rise up and twist your right arm behind you, and go ahead and let your gaze follow that right arm, and lean back again, and hold for a round of breath. And then you're going to repeat that with your left arm. Once you arrive back at center, go ahead and come into plank pose and hold for a round of breath before you lower yourself almost to the floor and then rise right back up. Do a few rounds of that, following your breath. And the last time you find yourself lowering to the floor, go ahead and come down into a low cobra. Lift your chest off of the floor just a little bit, and then raise your hands. And you're going to lower back down and repeat that a few more times, following your breath. Inhale as you rise, exhale as you lower. The next time you have your hands on the floor, you're going to slide them back beside your hips, and then you're going to find yourself a nice little locust pose. That's lifting chest, head, and lower legs off of the floor, and you're going to hold for a round of breath. And then you're going to lower yourself down and repeat that a few more times, following your breath. Inhale to rise, exhale to lower. The next time your hands are on the floor, go ahead and bring them out in front of you and shift your hips back into a child's pose. Go ahead and take any movements you feel necessary while you're in child's pose, whether that's wiggling your hips, moving your arms from one side to the other for another side body stretch, and then come back to stillness. Once we're meeting back in stillness, go ahead and thread the needle on each side. Once you meet back into child's pose, we're going to go ahead and make our way into down dog. And you can move straight to down dog, or you can take vinyasa, going through plank, cobra, and then to down dog. While in down dog, you can take any movements you feel necessary, whether that be pedaling out the legs, shaking your hips, shaking your head. But take a moment to do what feels good, and then meet me in stillness. Then you're going to go ahead and come into a three-legged dog, lifting that right leg and bending the knee and making a few circles with the knee before returning back to three-legged dog. Make sure you take those circles in both directions as well. And once you're in three-legged dog, you're going to go ahead and bring your knee to your nose as you inhale. Exhale, bring your leg back to three-legged dog. And then you're going to bring the knee in to your opposite elbow. You're going to pause for a second and then position yourself into a fallen triangle. You're going to go back to three-legged dog and then bring your knee to the same elbow. So if it's your right leg, then it's right elbow. And then while you're there, you're going to step into a high lunge. Take as much time as you need to find your high lunge. Make sure you're balanced. Your weight is evenly distributed between both feet. And then rise. Once you have your arms overhead, you're going to come into a slight back bend with your elbows in a cactus shape. And then you're going to sweep your arms down, forward, and up while you shift your weight and bring your arms up overhead. Repeat that, following your breath. Inhale to bend the elbows, exhale to extend and release. Once you return with your arms overhead, you're going to walk your back foot in enough that you can bring your heel to the floor with your toes pointing at a 45-degree angle. And you're going to interlace your fingers behind the lower back and bend forward into a humble warrior. Look towards the back leg while you hold for a round of breath. You're going to slowly and carefully rise, and as you do so, shift your feet into the Warrior 2 position. When your Warrior 2 is strong, You're going to flip that front palm and reverse your warrior. You get a nice side body stretch, and then you're going to reverse that into a side angle. You're going to follow your breath and do that for another couple of rounds. The next time you find yourself back in warrior pose, you're going to turn your feet parallel to the short ends of the mat with your arms out. As you inhale, bring your hands to your waist, and then slowly but carefully bend at the waist and bring your hands to the floor or blocks. You could also walk your hands behind you through your legs if you have the range of motion for that. This is just a nice forward fold. After a full round of breath, you're going to rise and return to Warrior 2 and make your way back to Downward Facing Dog, whether that be shifting straight to it or going through the vinyasa. Once you find your stillness in Downward Facing Dog, we're going to repeat the sequence on the other side, starting with the three-legged dog, bending the knee and making some small circles in both directions. Once you've completed that, you're going to go ahead and bring your knee to your nose and then back to three-legged dog, and then bring your knee to the opposite elbow, come into fallen triangle. And then right back into three-legged dog. And then you bring your knee to that same elbow, and then you're going to step into a high lunge. Go ahead and take a nice back bend here, elbows bent. Sweep those arms down, forward and up, and flow through a few more times, following your breath. We're going to once again interlace those fingers behind our backs. Maybe try doing it the opposite way than you're used to. Switch it up, keep things even. And then bend over forward into that lovely humble warrior. And go ahead and look at that back leg and hold for a round of breath. On your next inhale, you're going to rise and come up into a warrior 2. Nice and strong legs, and then we're going to flip that front palm and reverse your warrior into a nice back bend, keeping our legs the same, just moving the upper body, and then move into a side angle. Switch between those two, following the breath for a few rounds. When you find yourself back in Warrior 2, you're going to go ahead and face the long edge of your mat and come into Goddess pose. That's heels in, toes out, nice healthy bend in the knees, bend in the elbows, hands up to the sky. Now we're going to try lifting the toes of each foot, one, and then the other, and then lifting both. And then we're going to lift one heel, and then the other, and then both. And we're going to try to get a little deeper. The next time you find yourself centered in Goddess pose, go ahead and return to a nice strong Warrior 2 and make your way back to Down Dog. Take whatever movements feel necessary while you're in that Down Dog. Find a bit of stillness for a round of breath. And from there, we'll find our puppy pose, arms extended. ahead and take whatever movements you feel you need in puppy pose, whether that be threading the needle. I always like threading the needle in puppy pose. I feel like it stretches out that upper back in between the shoulders a bit more. You could also bring your elbows out in front of you, and then bring your hands together in prayer position, and then bring the thumb to the base of your skull. And then when you find some stillness, you're going to go ahead and come onto your back. And we're just going to make a nice tight yogi ball. Squeeze those knees to your chest. And then make some small circles in both directions. Once you've completed that, you're going to bring one foot to the floor and come into a figure 4 pose. You could take any movements you like. I always like to shift my knees from one side to the other. I feel it deepens and intensifies the stretch a little bit in different ways. But you do what works for you. And repeat that figure 4 on both sides. Once you complete that, go ahead and bring your feet out to the width of your mat and let your knees knock together. Just take a moment here to catch your breath, and then bring both knees to one side into a nice easy twist. And you want to bring your arms out into a T and look over at the opposite hand. And then switch to the other side. Take as many breaths as you feel you need for this. Stretch out your back a little bit. And once you've completed the twist on both sides, go ahead and come into a nice Savasana. However that it looks for you, however you feel you need it. And just take a moment. Now is a good time to pause and take note of how much you have accomplished during this practice. In those moments where you felt like you were stuck running on low energy, there is always more within you. There is always more available from the universe. In those moments of your life where you feel like you might not make it to that next step, think of this moment and remember that there is always more. There is always so much more. So when you feel ready, go ahead and roll onto your side into the fetal position, and then rise into a seated, comfy seat. And make sure you thank yourself for making the time to be here. Thank yourself for taking the time to devote it to yourself. The best way to be of service to others is to be of service to yourself first and foremost. So be grateful that you made the time for that. And as always, before we head out back into the world, let's go ahead and take ourselves a deep breath in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 3, 2, 1. And breathe out. 2, 3, 4. I just wanted to say thank you for being here with me, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Be well.